now tuned in to the Cold Hard Truth, Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
Good morning, everyone. Rise and shine. What's going on? I've got my morning overnight oats with almond milk. Big shout out to Foster's. I find that this is the easiest way for me to get a quick breakfast when I'm in a hurry. And it honestly doesn't taste that bad at all. It's definitely doable. So happy birthday to Evelyn. I see that she has got it locked in here this morning. Thank you so much for joining us on your birthday. Let's have a look at how beautiful she was last night. Look at this. Evelyn went all out, honey child. Looking good, looking good. Happy birthday, Evelyn. Absolutely gorgeous. I was going to ask you, where did you guys go? Because you look like you were ready for the ball. So everybody give Evelyn a happy birthday shout out. Looking absolutely gorgeous. And I saw the hubby took her out for dinner. So happy Remembrance Day as well. Today is a public holiday and we are still here, regardless of the public holiday. We got lots to talk about because, this is Monday Rewind. And trust me when I tell you a lot happened over the weekend. I feel like it's been a longer weekend than it actually was. Wee Wee, good morning. Good morning to Miss Joy joining us from Texas. Good morning to the beautiful Andrea. Siobhan has got it locked in. Marshall is here from North Carolina. Good morning to you. Anna says morning to all the beautiful people in the Cayman Islands. Thank you, Anna. Irvin, what else are you going to do for your birthday today? Because you look like you started it off with a bang last night. Miss Morna is here. Good morning to the beautiful Miss Morna. How are you? I see your profile picture. Very, very sad. One of the things that happened over the weekend, folks, is we lost a lot of people yesterday. By my account, 4. We're going to talk about that a bit later on. It's just one of those days that, people die every day, but it seems like sometimes the numbers just kind of add up quickly. So Irvin went to Morgan's Seafood Restaurant. Morgan's. Where's Morgan's again? Cayman has so many really good restaurants, I must tell you, that sometimes it's even hard to decide where you want to go. That's one thing Cayman has no shortage of, actually, is really good food, especially in restaurants. I mean, we have a lot of restaurants here. I think we have more churches, restaurants, and salons per capita than probably anywhere else in the world. I swear, on every corner, there's a salon. So it's like you got to get dressed and ready to go to church, go out to eat, and more bars. Let's not forget the bars, because we got a lot of those too. Good morning, Larry. Do you guys actually know this is a fun fact? But Jamaica actually has more churches per capita than anywhere in the world, which I've always found to be a bit of an interesting conundrum. Like it seems in some respects very contradictory, but like how can you have at times, I don't know right now if they're, if they hold this record or not, but in the past they've held the record for having like being the murder capital of the world. And I think, how can you be the murder capital of the world and have the most churches in the world as well per capita? Like something seems a little bit off with those two figures. Like you don't think that those two should ever go together. Like it's really, really bizarre. Good morning, Larry, joining us from New York. Wee Wee is here. Wee Wee says, happy birthday to you, Irvin. God's richest blessings. Absolutely. Marshall is sending some birthday greetings, and so is Miss Morna. Anna says today is her birthday too. What? Happy birthday, Anna. Send us a photo. We'll post it up later. Lovely, lovely. Wow, nice. Miss Nona, good morning to you. Donald's got it locked in. Good morning, Donald. How are you? Irvin's going to go to the spa today. Nice. I think a spa date is always a good thing for your birthday. So someone's already messaging about some of the topics this morning. Yeah, spa is fine. I mean, spa is fantastic. I don't know where you're going, but my girlfriend Mel took me for my birthday to the Westin Spa, and I haven't been there in years actually, and I kind of forgot how much fun it is. But that was a nice time because they've got like the steam room, they have the sauna, they have we did a massage, and when you're nice and relaxed, like after a massage, it's like, oh, let's go and sit in the jacuzzi. So that was tons of fun. Steam rooms, I can't take them for too long, but they do really, I feel like they clear out your pores. They make you come out of there glowing like nobody's business. On, what day was that? Today's Monday. On Saturday, I actually went and did a dermabrasion, which I hadn't done in, oh my God, I want to say at least 5 years. Like seriously, I have not done a facial in forever. I haven't done anything. And so I went in and I went to Dr. Porter with Nurse Sarah because she's fantastic. And she said to me, girl, she said, your skin is great. You don't have any sun damage, nothing here at all to worry about, especially for how long I had been without seeing her. So that was good. And then, of course, I just did a quick check over with Dr. Porter. There's always like I don't know how anal you guys are about this kind of stuff, but I see one little blackhead, not even see it. I just know that it's on my back and it bothers me. And I'm like, can you please do something about this? Extract it or whatever. And he always tells me that the permanent solution to those, because they go pretty deep, not really big, but they just go in really deep. The permanent solution is to actually cut it out. And he said, they're so tiny that it almost makes sense not to do that, because then you're going to leave a little scar potentially on your back. But it just bothers me to know that it's there. Good morning, Teresa. Good morning, Lisa. Marshall says, I'm at Cayman Yacht Club. Wait a minute. Oh, it's a Cayman Yacht Club. Oh, I thought you said I'm at Cayman. I'm like, when did you get here? Cayman Yacht Club. Oh, yes. You know, that's another place that I haven't been. I go to Georgetown Yacht Club a lot, but I haven't been to Cayman Yacht Club in a long time. Maybe I'm overdue. Emma, good morning to you. Have a beautiful day. Marva's here. Says, marvelous Monday morning to everyone. Have a blessed week. We're going to talk about a few things here. Yeah, I always forget about Morgan's there. I got to tell my lunch date buddy that I want to go to Morgan's soon. I got a girlfriend. We do a lot of lunches. And I have literally not been to Morgan's. I'm going to say at least for over 5 years for sure. I always mark things now by the age of my daughter. So I'm like, have I done this since she's been born? Nope. Haven't been there since she's been born. So that's at least 5 years. Like I said, we got so many fantastic restaurants to choose from. Yes, Miss Morna, and so many people, speaking of Margaret, so many people unfortunately passed away over the weekend. Just really, really sad. So Andrea says the murder capitals from Pirates days. No, honey child, that was as recent as the 2000s. I want to say maybe 7-8 years ago. It was definitely the murder capital of the world. And it always is in the top something or another. It's amazing. I mean, Jamaica has 3 million people, but you know how they do it. They always do it per capita. So homicides in 2019 is 680 per capita, and the population they had down as 1.1 million. Well, we know that population isn't correct, actually. It says homicides per 100,000 is 57.59. So in 2005, Jamaica had the highest murder rate in the world. And then in November 2008, the Jamaican Parliament voted to retain the death penalty, which is performed by hanging, but they never kill anybody. Yeah, so that was at least 2005. I don't know if they've done it since then. So yeah, in 2005, they saw a lot of murders, but I feel like even then the murder rate has gone up. But even now, when we look at World Population Review, the murder rate per capita, Jamaica's right up there after El Salvador. So it's still pretty high on the list. And in fact, this article from January 31st of 2021 from the Jamaican Gleaner says that Jamaica tops homicides in Latin America and the Caribbean. So it might not be the world right now for whatever reason. Maybe that's in the Middle East somewhere. I don't know what that is, but normally it tends to be Latin America, actually, or Mexico. But it says that recording killings of over 1,300 in 2020. A new report in Latin America and the Caribbean has revealed that Jamaica now has the region's highest homicide rate at 46.5 per 100,000 people. The 2 murder capitals in the region were followed by Honduras. I'm still surprised that Jamaica beat Honduras, but there you go, with 37.6, and Trinidad and Tobago with 28.2, and Mexico with 27. I still thought Mexico would have had. I think in Mexico they make you disappear, so you don't even know if somebody's actually murdered or not. So the United Nations considered any homicide rate of 10 per 100,000 citizens or above to be an epidemic, and Jamaica's total killings marked a marginal decline from 2019, which was a total of 1,339 murders, which is an improvement over 2017's 1,647. So interesting. So it says gangs in Jamaica and Haiti have been engaged in a deadly trade where marijuana is exchanged for guns, and boats loaded with up to 3,000 pounds of cannabis have been headed from Jamaica to nearby Haiti, where they then swap it for guns and high-powered rifles. So very interesting. They do a lot of the ZOZOs, which is the Zones of Special Operations. And in fact, quite interestingly enough, I know this is not on our topic for today, but I was just reading that Jamaica has experienced, again, in the past couple weeks, a bit of a high with crime. And they are, somebody sent me this article. I'm trying to remember what it said now. They're actually issuing a state of emergency. Yeah, this was from the Prime Minister's office. Andrew Holness, a couple of days ago, announced state of public emergency in 7 divisions across Jamaica, including St. James, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. Andrew South, Kingston Western, Kingston Central, and Kingston East. And they had, according to the Prime Minister, I think something like 20-something murders in the space of like 24 hours in just one area. So the Prime Minister actually described the country's current crime calamity as barbaric and savage. This is in yesterday's paper out of Jamaica. And he said it's almost like it's a competition for cruelty, the worst of the worst, and it appears to be designed, properly calculated to drive fear into the citizens of the country and panic in communities. That was what Prime Minister Holness said. And he said, of course, that the government cannot see what's happening and not take action. So far for this year, over 1,240 murders. And the figure does not include the 11 killings reported within the past 24 hours. 9 of the 11 committed within the last 24 hours were conducted in the western sections under the SOE. And that's, I think, state of emergency. So it's crazy that they have these state of emergencies, but they don't really seem to do much in terms of, well, if they are, I guess that means the murders would have been even worse. So yeah, so it's crazy. So they're trying to get that situation under control. Murders in this year alone have increased by 10%. And according to the Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson, he says this 10% is 10% of a persistently unacceptably high number, which means Jamaica's homicide rate remains within the top 5 countries in the world. So that's what Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson actually said yesterday. It's legit crazy. Very, very sad situation. Evelyn, you're most welcome. Blissful Powell's got it locked in. More birthday greetings coming up for her. Good morning to Miss Carol. Anna, yes, happy birthday to Anna as well. Andrea said Jamaica can be said to be the murder capital of the Caribbean now. It's unbelievable having the amount of churches per square mile. Yeah, it is, like I said, very contradictory. Like, it is extremely bizarre. Because in your mind, you think, well, if it has the highest churches per capita, shouldn't people be more loving and whatever? But going to church apparently doesn't make you a better person, in case y'all missed that memo. It certainly doesn't make you a Christian, that's for sure. It's just a thing. It's just a formality, I guess, for some people. So good morning, holiday treat, seeing you this morning. Oh, thank you so much, Miss Emma. I thought about it because some holiday Mondays, I'm like, do people just want to sleep in and do nothing? But we have so much to talk about this morning. I was like, oh my God, I cannot not have a show today because a lot is going on. And so, at the end of the day, we got to bring it to you live and direct. So let's start off with a weekend recap, and then We'll get to the trial of Eve Highvoltage. That was a very, very interesting trial. I think you guys are going to find that discussion interesting. Marshall says, not sure why the world says that it's an improvement from the previous year. Sorry, not sure why they would say it's an improvement when it's still over 1,000 people killed. Well, they actually said it's up 10% this year from last year. So I guess that's not an improvement. But they try to grab every little, like if it's one number less than the previous year, they're like, yay, one less person got killed. But it's definitely a sad state of affairs, without a doubt. I mean, it's crazy to think that that's happening right next door to our neighbors, and sometimes our brothers and sisters and people that we know. The world is so small that invariably these things touch people in the Cayman Islands. Remember when the guy a couple years ago had gotten killed? I'm trying to remember where in Jamaica that was, but he was driving a taxi, and he used to actually live here in Cayman and work, I think, at Subways. And he was murdered. It looks like he was robbed and murdered driving his taxi. So certain, jobs are very high risk, I feel like, in Jamaica, and that's definitely one of them. And so this guy, I'm trying to remember what his name is now, but he was killed. And a lot of people in Cayman knew him because he lived here for a number of years before deciding to basically retire and go back to Jamaica. And a lot of Jamaicans, are all over the world, and they are very, very fearful of having to retire and return home because they become an willing target for a lot of criminal elements. Because I don't know, people think, right, you've lived overseas, that means that you must have tons of money, which isn't necessarily true. And he was one of those victims. So I remember that story. I can't find it right now, but that was really, really sad, quite frankly. Here he is. Former Cayman resident killed in Jamaica. This was October of 2018. David Hilton, 51 years old, who used to work at a Subway as a supervisor for many years, was gunned down in Kingston. Do you guys remember this story? This was such a sad thing. And a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I know him. He was such a cool guy. He was such a nice guy. There he is right there. How sad is that? You guys remember him, David? Went back home, driving his taxi, and had his life taken just like that. It's like, wow. Crazy. And every year, I swear, they always talk about they're under this public emergency, state of public emergency, and it doesn't seem to really help very much at all. So a lot of people remembered David. And in fact, he had his little taxi service here that he would advertise. You see the little business card that he would give out to people, encouraging Caymanians to, when they come, because again, you're a target as well. If you're not from there, people will notice that you're different and new to the area. But he would give you his card and say, I'm the Subway guy. See what it says, Subway guy? Because everybody remembered him from Subway. And he would say safe pickup and drop off and tours. So poor guy, here he is saying, you guys know me, you can trust me. I'll take care of you when you come into Jamaica. And a lot of Caymanians utilized his service because they felt safe with someone that they knew. And then he ended up losing his life in such a violent way. And so someone at the time shared with us that he had a little car rental business going as well. And he was just very ambitious and kind and, just trying to hustle and do his own little thing, and then to just lose your life like that. So Marshall says, yep, that was a sad case. I knew him when he was living in Cayman and worked at Subway. Thank you, Irvlin, for reminding me of his name, David. Yeah. So sad. Tea time for Louis, 32 degrees Fahrenheit, snows on the ground. Wow. He says, I want to come home. Cece says it's too much senseless killing going on in Jamaica. It's sad. Teens are dying left, right, and center. They're living in a dog-eat-dog world. It's so much more to life than that. It is very sad. Cece says that she remembers that story where the sisters working came in and sending money over Jamaica for her sister to build her house. And the sister's taking the money and living life with her boyfriend. And they killed her and buried her in the house. Yeah, there's so many cases of where people return home. And the saddest part is a lot of times they are targeted by their own relatives. Like it's your own family and people who have access to you that are going to be the ones who harm you, which to me is just like crazy, right? But they have this jealous thing like, oh, you come back from a foreign and this night. It's like, do you know what people are doing a foreign? They're working their butts off just to make ends meet. And maybe if they were lucky, send back a little bit of money home to try to, build something for later on in life. I think that's the goal for anyone who comes, a lot of people who come from abroad. They're just here to work for as long as they can to try to build their lives back home. But it's not easy on so many different fronts. And it's really sad that when you return, then you become victimized. Remember the young girl, I can't remember her name now, but this was a couple years ago. She was from the New York area and her grandmother owned a hotel in Jamaica. So she'd gone there to visit and then she ended up disappearing. And eventually they found her and like her cell phone and stuff like that. And it's, again, you can be targeted for so many different reasons. You can be, just because you're a woman, you're automatically a target. Young girls and boys, but in particular young girls, they have a lot of child murders and stuff in Jamaica as well. They're sexually assaulted and killed. And that is one of the hardest things to hear about. But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy, right? But anytime they think, oh, you've got some money, it's like, we want that money. We don't want to have to work for it. We're going to just kill you and take it. And it's like, what kind of relationship do people have where they can just kill a family member over money they didn't even earn? So Scott says this may sound dumb, but there's a reason that law is so out of control in Jamaica. Is it's simply overwhelming the police. I think it's a lot of complex reasons as crime goes. Just like here in Cayman, it's not an easy define. A lot of social issues that certainly lead to high crime. And, they also have an issue with poverty. And poverty, unfortunately, tends to lead to a lot of issues. And I think it's just a combination of things. That's kind of crazy. So Flashpoint says, I remember David. I ran into him at a cafe when I was in Montego Bay on vacation. I did not know that he died. Yeah, 2 years ago, a couple years ago. 23 years ago now, right? Was that 20? What did I just tell you? That was 2018 or 2019? 2018, October 2018. Yeah. Very sad. So listen, from day one, we here at CMR have been reporting regional news because we're all so connected. Caymanians. There was a young man, maybe a month or so ago, Caymanian living in Jamaica who also died, but I couldn't quite figure out what he died from. So we didn't really report it because we never got any details on how he died. But remember, there was also the one Caymanian guy who ran from the law here and then ended up getting murdered in Jamaica. Like they just found him laying in the street in a gutter. Because normally when you're running from the law, you're probably hanging out with unsavory characters, right? And so, unfortunately, his demise, it was so weird because in his case, he had jumped into the ocean somewhere, I think, in West Bay, running from the police. And then years later, he ended up dead in Jamaica. And I always thought, how the heck did he get to Jamaica? But I guess one of these canoe boats that come in all the time must have transported him back. Because I understand that for $3,000, you can bring anything on a canoe boat. So you can go that direction or you can come into Cayman for basically $3,000. And that's a lot of money, especially for when you ain't got money. That's a lot of money. So I don't know how people find the money. Probably nothing legal. But for $3,000, they'll bring in guns and all sorts of stuff in this jurisdiction as well. And I heard that trade is alive and well. So it's very, very interesting. So Cece says sending him a barrel alone makes family fall out. A barrel of like clothes and stuff, or what's in the barrel? I don't even know. But yeah, it is really, really weird how people can get like jealous over something that they haven't even worked for. It's like, calm down. You didn't work for it. Why are you all up in your feelings about it? A little bit weird. Flashpoint says Jamaica is on the way to becoming a failed state, and if things don't change, it will eventually be like Haiti. It really is unfortunate because Jamaica is such a beautiful country in terms of a lot of the natural resources. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And Marshall, you're right, because a couple of years ago, even the government was warning returning residents to Jamaica that there's a returning resident association or something. And the government was saying, listen, you got to be careful because you guys are definitely being targeted. And, that association was just like, I think I want to say 2019, they had a number of returning residents that were victims of crime. And so their association was just saying, you got to just be extra careful. So sad, really. But anyway, good morning to Elizabeth. Buenos dias. Where's Miss Alba? Did I see Miss Alba message as well? Buenos dias, Miss Alba. I think she's here. Thought I saw her. Clothes, socks, food, and goods. Oh, okay. I wasn't sure what was in this barrel, child. Yes, you remember the guy in West Bay? Yep. He ended up being found dead, unfortunately. Good morning, Sir Andrew. How are you? So, speaking of people getting upset over barrels, Cece, you're reminding me about this situation. Oh, yes, this was 2018. Viral video warns Jamaicans abroad not to return home. A Jamaican woman is warning Jamaicans abroad to not return to attempt to build their retirement homes because they'll be targeted. Can you believe it? So crazy. But that was 2018 going into 2019. Probably not much has changed. But anyway, speaking of people getting upset over like literally nothing, on Friday, a number of you sent me a screenshot with Dr. Frank, cousin Frank, going off yet again. And I don't want to belabor the point, but what I can say is I don't really know what's wrong with him. Like I really honestly, in my heart of heart, feels like this man is having some kind of mental health issues, but he appears to be very much fixated on me for whatever reason. Someone even went as far as saying when they sent it to me, oh, I think he likes you, like in a sexual way. And I was like, what? I'm like, first of all, he's my cousin. Let's not even go beyond that. There's no second of all. That's just disgusting. But the obsession is making them think that that's what it is. And I don't think that that's what it is. I think he's just obsessed. And it's not a natural obsession. Like these are the kind of people, like when they get obsessed with you, you need personal protection because you really should be fearful of what they're going to do next. And so he posted some ridiculous posts on his social media. And what I want to say is every single person who responds to this man, who likes his comments, who engages him, you're only encouraging the craziness. So he has the audacity to actually tag me in the post, which I didn't see the tag. And he says, I've not seen Ma Road since I was blocked. Well, first of all, let me stop right there because that's a bold-faced lie. I actually have screenshots since he's been blocked of him watching this program because I've had people say to me, why is he watching the show? And I'm just like, I don't know. And I said, listen, here's the thing with WhatsApp. I mean, with Facebook is you can block someone on Facebook, but that does not mean that they don't see your page. That just means that they don't comment and that sort of thing. So, people are still able to watch the show and, read what's on the page. So someone sent me a screenshot. They're like, look, I can't remember the date now, but it was definitely after he was blocked. They're like, how is he still here? And I said, well, it is what it is, folks. He's clearly, like I said, got some serious issues. And it's really unfortunate because on the one hand, I'm a little bit at a loss for words in terms of what to say, but the dude is like all over me like white on rice. So he's sitting here talking about, and I was reading this at first and I was very, very confused because I had no idea what he was talking about. So he claims that I'm filtering, that Sandy's filtering her great looks or her biased content. So he is all upset and in his feelings about the fact that we have a filter on here, which I'm wearing today. Now, you know, this man is beyond stupid at some level, right? You guys know that the first day I had the filter on, I went to great lengths to tell everybody that I have on a filter. Some people have even said to me, why did you tell people? They don't tell anybody because it looks pretty natural and blah, blah. And I said, no. I said, people are going to think that I'm trying to lie or deceive people or whatever. Y'all know how you get up in your feelings about a conspiracy. And so I said, nope, I'm a very straight person. I'm going to just tell you what it is. You don't have to like it, and I don't have to care if you like it, but I'm going to tell you what it is. So I felt that there was no need for me to pretend like I'm not wearing a filter. I mean, to me, it's kind of obvious, but a lot of people are like, no, it just looks like you're wearing a little bit of makeup. You look great, blah, blah, blah. The lips, by the way, are not filtered on. Those are mine. And so, you know, he seems to have now just discovered this filter, and it's like he's letting some big secret out of the bag. And it's like, dude, we spent an entire show talking about this. For Halloween, I had on a Halloween filter. And let me show you how incredibly easy it is for me to change my filters. Look at this one. Woohoo! Looking good, right? Yeah. I wonder if he'll get all upset about this one, that I look like a man. Ooh, what's she doing now? She's not telling the truth. There's tons of funny filters. Let me show you another one. Look at this one with red lips. And it gives me a thing here. What do you call those? A mole. We can do glitter lips. We can do this one. There's all sorts of, look at this one. There's all sorts of, this one I got eyes and like bling bling earrings. There's tons of fantastic filters, folks, that I can totally do. Here, how about a little mouth stash? So while this man is obsessed with me and going on and on about a filter, and people are engaging him, this one is kind of weird, I think, and liking his ridiculousness. Look at this one. This one's pretty cool. It's like the dark makeup look, right? Let me just tell you that the man is, number one, extremely idle. And number two, the obsession is really becoming a bit of a problem. The matter has been reported to the police. They are aware of the situation. They're supposed to be investigating it with a view to actually filing charges, because here's the kicker. I got hauled off to court for way less than this and actually got convicted. So my thing is, why is it that someone feels like they can sit down and harass me 24/7 and there will be no consequences for their actions? Like, it's just beyond ridiculous. And I really want to ask him to please stop the craziness, leave me alone, go fixate on something else in your life. Like, why at 70, whatever, your life is such a dismal failure that you even see the necessity to say anything about me. Like, you got problems. It's like the other day he posted something about Kenneth Bryan. He was going on and on about that. And y'all don't even know the heart of why, I put Kenneth Bryan where he is. And, he's so ungrateful and blah, blah, blah. You know why he was all up in arms about Kenneth Bryan? Because he went to Kenneth Bryan, begging Kenneth Bryan to give his stepson, who's not a Caymanian, right, a scholarship, a government scholarship. And as you guys know, government scholarships are reserved for Caymanians only. And there's different ways that you can become a Caymanian. If you want your stepson to be a Caymanian, adopt him and go through the process of taking legal responsibility for him. And then at some stage, he'll become a Caymanian and he can get the benefit of that process. But until then, you can't be rolling up on government officials, asking them to give your stepson a scholarship, a sports scholarship or whatever, just because you're Frank McField. And so that's why he was all up in arms about, Kenneth Bryan. So here's a person who does not even want to follow the process. He thinks he's above the law. And when somebody says no to him, then he has a real issue. It's like, dude, get it together. We're all having to work by the same set of rules. Oh, you're not seeing the filters? Oh gosh. You didn't get to see them? Maybe I had to refresh. But anyway, they were kind of funny. The one with the male with the beard and everything's kind of funny. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. That'll give him something else to obsess about. It's just getting really old. Flashpoint says Dr. Frank might be going through a difficult time that many elderly people experience as they transition from working life into retirement. Well, I honestly think that part of his problem is that he feels like where he's at in his life, that he should be having an easier time. And he looks at other people and he makes the assumption that other people are having an easier time than me. So he sees me, I guess, standing here every morning in the public eye, and he's making a lot of assumptions about me. He doesn't know anything about me or my life, right? So I don't really know. I mean, that's kind of where I feel it stems from, that he is more upset with himself and his own failures in life, and he's somehow projecting that on me because he sees me as having accomplished something that he wants. I don't really know. But I'm like, dude, I am not accomplishing anything extraordinary. I get up every single day, like the vast majority of Caymanians, and I simply get to work, and I work very, very hard. If you guys know that I'm up at 12:30 every single night working, you just have no clue what is involved in what I do, right? I was even saying to someone, sometimes my own clients don't know what I do in order to produce what they see as an end product. Speaking of clients, big shout out to the people who do help to make this possible. Reliable Industries, big shout out to them. You can get all of your Purell hand sanitizer products. Listen, November 20th is right around the corner. That's just in a couple of days. We need to reopen, but we need to do it as safely as possible. So make sure that you stock up on all of your supplies.
Purell hand sanitizer products are available at Reliable Supplies. Contact us today for Purell hand wipes that are convenient to carry with you, or alcohol-based hand sanitizer pump, ideal for offices, schools, and homes. Contact Reliable Supplies today to get your COVID-19 supply at 949-9303, or stop by our showroom, centrally located off Compass Drive.
Now you see something like that, oh, that looks so easy. But y'all don't know what's involved in trying to get a little 30-second commercial done. You know, it's like my aunt always used to say to me, Aunt Loudie's pearls of wisdom. Y'all need to write some of these down for real. She always used to say, never look at what anybody else is doing and feel like you could begrudge them or you're jealous of them or anything of the sort, because she said, listen, you just don't know how they got it. You don't know how hard they worked for it. You don't know if they stole it. You don't know anything about it. So don't make assumptions when you see people on their game about what they do or what they don't do. Like, you can't look at what you think is the end product. Oh, well, this person lives in a nice house, or this one drives a nice car. You don't know anything about how they got that. You understand what I'm saying? Every single day, child, I look at my to-do list. This is my book where I keep all my to-do lists. And, you know, let me just show y'all a little glimpse of what my days be looking like, child. Because it's like they scroll over from one day to the next. Like, I got stuff on this list that still isn't done. And then I already started another page. And, you know, as I get stuff done, I try to tick it off. But believe me, I am a person who has no issues with hard work. And I'm up. Some people say to me, do you even sleep? Because I stay up late and I wake up fairly early in the mornings. And I sacrifice sleep and I sacrifice other things in my life just to try to get certain things done. So while he might be sitting down trying to begrudge me, he don't know nothing about my life. You know what I'm saying? Just like I don't know anything about his, and I don't want to know anything about his. But I think it's very unfortunate that he wants to fixate on the things that I do. And then he calls it, what did he call himself? I mean, he's always so self-elevating that, you know, that's a whole other topic. But New Vision, what does he call it? New Vision, the New Vision Academy. He's always talking about a new vision. Well, he needs to have a new vision of trying to get his life and his heart straight and just leaving people alone. All this kind of discord and hate that he must be carrying around, because I know if he's carrying around for me, he must be carrying around for other people as well. It cannot be healthy for you. It can't be healthy for your mental state, and it certainly can't be healthy for your heart, doctor. And so I'm going to suggest that you just let it go. Maybe you need to go to a monastery or something and try to find some degree of peace in your life, because the obsession is real. There's something wrong with you. And that's all I'm going to say on that. I'm going to allow the police to handle the matter. The other stuff is still being dealt with in a civil court of law. And, it is what it is. So Cece and Romelia, good morning. Frank Marshall says he needs to tell people how he got shot. Oh, no, I don't know how that happened. Well, the story on the street is he did it himself. And that's why he couldn't admit to it, because that would still get you in trouble, because you're not supposed to have an unlicensed firearm. So imagine shooting yourself and then having to go to jail for shooting yourself. That would have been quite a situation. So Louis says the heights that successful people reach, they work hard while their companions sleep. Yes, one of my favorite quotes by Longfellow, the heights of great men reach and kept. So yeah, I mean, listen, Aunt Lottie may not had a lot of education, but she had a lot of common sense. And I want to address something in relation to that as well. Where, I posted something yesterday about, are we frozen again? About, I wonder, maybe I need to close out some tabs. Hold on. I always have a million tabs open. So let me close out some of these, because I think maybe something's interfering with. Oh, you know what it is too? I've got this one app. Hold on. Yeah, that probably is going to help. I've got one application here that a lot of times it requires a lot of processes from the computer. It's my dictation app. I think I told you guys about this before. So I just closed that application. But I was going to say that I put up a quote yesterday, and I was just saying, in case you missed it, how my aunt did not have any sort of formal education, but, she had a lot of common sense. And, she said a lot of things that were just spot on. And so yesterday I posted up about this Dunning-Kruger syndrome, which I've talked about before. And I'm going to keep talking about it, because it's something that it strikes me that a lot of people in the Cayman Islands suffer from this. And some people, when I post about it, they mistakenly get the idea that I'm trying to say that I know more than other people. And it's actually the opposite of what I'm trying to say. So what I'm trying to say is I accept my shortcomings. I know that there's a lot in this world that I do not know. And that's why I'm always willing to learn. But there is a reality that people, and there's so many quotes in relation to this. Here's one. Smart people underestimate themselves. Ignorant people think they're brilliant. It's a cognitive bias called the Dunning-Kruger effect, where the highly skilled assume that things they find easy are also easy for others, and the unskilled are so incompetent that they can't recognize their own stupidity. And I find that this has a lot of merit. Here's another way of thinking about it. It has been scientifically proven that the less you know, the more you think you know. This is science, folks. This isn't make-believe. Here's a quote being attributed to Stephen Hawkins. The greatest enemy of knowledge is not ignorance, it's the illusion of knowledge. And there are a lot of people right now, especially in this pandemic, who are coming forward and, making putting themselves on a little bit of a pedestal, and they are making you believe that they know what they're talking about, and that they're the experts. They're the ones that you should listen to. And I do find it so incredibly amazing that people can actually sit back and give these individuals so much credit. It just blows my mind. It blows my mind how these persons can pick up the phone and call the premier of this country and say to him, oh, this is how you should run this country. Because they have all the answers. They have all the answers to all of life's problems. They've obviously never successfully implemented any of those themselves, but they still have all the answers. I'm perplexed. Like, how can someone have all the answers, but yet they've never proven to you that anything works that's in their head? So in other words, they have no track record, no successes in life, not even on the family front, nothing. They're a dismal failure. DUIs all over the place, failed businesses, taking advantage of people in business, scamming people, civil cases all over the place for money owed. It's all about the appearance for them and looking good and trying to be flashy and trying to impress you with big words that they're misusing all the time and out of context. And yet the masses sit back and think that this person has such value to add. Y'all need to help it. You need to help me understand. Because when I call it the BS, then I'm like, oh, well, Sandy, I don't know what Sandy talking about. Oh, she thinks she's smarter than everybody. No. I accept my shortcomings. I'm not the smartest person in the world by any stretch of imagination. I may not be dumb, but I ain't smart. I am willing to learn from the experts and take advice from other people. But I find it a hard pill to swallow to take advice from people who all they do is talk. It's like they have diarrhea of the mouth and they have nothing to back that up. If you have life experience and, it's one of the reasons why even when I read certain books and people tell you, oh, this is how you can time manage, this is how you can, I want to see how those people themselves have implemented these same things in their life. Because it sure is easy to go through the top 5 steps for being more productive in life. Yeah, great. Now tell me how you've actually implemented it. I don't want you to just talk the talk. I want you to walk it, right? Walk the talk. And that is where me and anybody is going to have a falling out, because if you can't walk it, I'm like, I don't even want to hear what you have to say. Because right now I'm just hearing your lips flapping. Flip, 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 flip. And that's it. And somebody sent me a video yesterday of a certain individual. They were like, oh yeah, look at what, I didn't even look at the video. I said, really? Are you like for real right now? You're sending me this because of what? This person is believable. Why? Oh, I was blowing up the premier's phone. Yeah, because you believe you somebody. Great. And you call the man 5 times. You lie on your live stream that you called him 15 times. If you can't even tell the truth with the most basic of things in life, again, why am I listening to you? You see, I'm not going to be fooled by this snake oil. What do they call them? The snake oil salesman. That's not me. I might not be the sharpest person around, but I'll tell you what, I am not going to be, despite that, the person who's going to be easily fooled. Seriously. And I feel like right now, because of what's happening with COVID and everybody's like, I get scared and whatever, you guys are more likely to buy in to the snake oil charmsters than any other time before. It is quite a quandary, I must say. Good morning, Tracy. Andrew says he's going to be starting a live show. Somebody just messaged me about Andrew saying, what the hell is Andrew doing? Trying to promote himself on your show. Listen, does it really matter? I mean, it really doesn't matter. I don't know where Andrew's show is or whatever, but if he wants to start a new podcast, good. You see, this is a thing that people don't even understand. What it takes to get up here every single morning and talk for 2 hours. It takes a lot more than people recognize. I'll never forget, is Denny watching by any chance? Denny Warren? I'll never forget, years ago, what show was I filling in on? I can't remember if it was Straight Talk or somewhere else. But I had asked Denny to fill in for me. And I said, oh, Denny, you got this. It's only a 2-hour show, blah, blah, blah. I think it's when I had my straight talk, I want to say, but I'm not 100% sure. Denny might remember the exact time frame more than me. And showed him how to work the board. You know, he's tech savvy. This is not a problem. Later on, Denny said to me, Sandy, that is the hardest thing in the world, to be prepared to talk for 2 hours. And this was traditional radio talk show. Because he's like, you know, if you have no one calling in, you have nothing to fill the dead air. And he could not believe how hard that was. He's like, how do you do that every single day? And I said, you know, it's another one of those things where everybody thinks it's so incredibly easy. And I always tell people, go do it. You know, it's like after you get a law degree, but it's like, well, if you can do it, I can do it. I said, yes, you can. Go do it. Am I going to tell you that it's easy to get a law degree? Nope. But the same way that I worked hard, sacrificed a social life, was up into the wee hours, studying, whatever, you can do it too. You can make the exact same sacrifices. So let no one tell you that it can't be done. But at the same time, don't let anyone fool you about how easy or not it is. And that's when people jump up with all these solutions. Oh, this is so easy to implement. The government should do this. It's so easy. How many of y'all have ran a country, even of this size? This is a relatively small country as countries go. Everybody is a genius right now. Everyone has all the answers. I see one young lady on Facebook, like, honestly, when I see her stuff, I look at it and I have to do a double take because I cannot believe this young lady, the comments that she makes, and all she's known for is being on her back or her four legs. Oh, did I say that right? Yes, flat on her back with legs up in the air or on all fours. That's what she's known for. Now it's, oh, I'm reformed. I'm a Christian. Forget about everything I've ever done. Now I'm perfect. I've got all the answers. I can tell the government what to do. It's like, and you have what experience, child? Refresh my memory where you're coming from. Because you come with no experience in life. I think she might be a secretary, maybe not even. Might be an admin assistant. Can't even figure out who your children for. Like, back the frig up. Like, really? No, sir. If you're that bright, you go and tell me who your children actually for. Because I hear you in baby daddy number 3 Jerry Springer episode trying to figure out who that child for. I'm just sorry. But, you know, this is legit what goes through my head. Because I'm just like, damn. You need an entire Jerry Springer episode to try and figure out who your children for. Married men, we would know that much. Because that's all you want to deal with. But when you take photos of children, you can't even put up their last names because that changes by the minute. And you lambasting the government and telling them how to do their job. You're a COVID expert. You're an expert on PCR testing and what should be done. And oh, Lord, what? Tracy, let me stop while I'm ahead, child. Because today is Remembrance Day. Y'all don't want to get me remembering nothing. Actions speak louder than words. Practice what you preach. That would be easy. Apparently not. Carol is encouraging people to stop going to large parties. Yes, girl. They want to do whatever they want to do and then blame the government for the spread of COVID. That's a whole other thing. Louise says one thing about listening while talking reveals what you already know. Listening, you may actually hear something that you never heard before. Listening takes training. Not everyone that can hear can listen when you are talking. That is very true. That is very true. And some people just have the gift of gab and they can talk any kind of bullshit. Ask them to implement it. Say, you know what? This is a fantastic idea. Let us see the plan of execution for this. Can you sit down and write out a business case for this? That's like a business plan. Please do a SWOT analysis, et cetera, et cetera. They can't do none of that. They've never written one in their lives. They wouldn't even know where to begin. You see, it's easy to talk. It's a whole other conundrum to be able to put it into practice, because then you got to put pen to paper and work out the logistics of exactly how it was going to work. Soka, we are here, girl. Oh, Andrew wants to come on again. Yes, child, and all fours. That bonk all over Instagram. But oh, Now you're a Christian, so it's all right. So we can forget about your reputation until you fall off the Christian bandwagon yet again. Girl, please go sit your ass down. Atlas says Jerry Springer don't do DNA, but doesn't he? Of course. And I'm Jerry Springer. You are not the father. Child, this would have been dad number 3. You know, I've seen a couple of those episodes where these girls are on there like for the 4th time. Well, they swear now. It definitely got to be him. Okay, so it wasn't the brother. So you sleep with the brother, this and that. It wasn't the brother, but yes, honey child, it's the dead brother, because now the dead brother can't speak about whether or not he even had relations with you, child. So you got, yeah, it's definitely the dead brother now. I know for sure. Okay, well, we're going to take a little snippet out of his hair in the coffin and see what's going on here. The results come in, and y'all know Jerry. He was so full of drama. See Jerry, huh? Opening up the envelope. And the results are deceased person number ABC is, drum roll, the audience like holding their breath, is not the father. And then everybody goes crazy. And the person who's sitting there all convinced that baby number 4 got to be, daddy number 4 definitely has to be the father. She falls over, all dramatic. Oh my God, what do you mean? I didn't sleep with anybody else. Oh, hold on a second. Did I? Y'all need to stop. Anyway, Maury. Oh, wasn't Jerry Spring? Didn't Jerry do that too? Oh, I'm getting my crazy talk shows mixed up. Thank you, Irvin. That was Maury. What did Jerry Springer? What was he known for? I don't even know. But yes. Okay. You know, because these people live a certain life on social media, they want to believe that that was Maury. I'm sorry. I'm getting all my crazy talk show guys confused. But, you know, they live this perfect life on social media, and they're so invested in people liking them that if they say something and like 10 people like it and 50 people comment, they're like, oh, I'm somebody now. Like I'm really important. And this is, you know, where it's all about. And it's like, Andrew, it's the same link as before. It's always the same link from last week. So now all of a sudden they're like, you know, oh yes, you know, oh, I've got acceptance. They don't think I'm a whore anymore. This K-Man child, you know, K-Man's not really about that. They can still be talking about your back that, oh girl, you know, the baby daddy number 3 had to take down all the photos off of his Instagram page because the child actually not for him. And now we don't know who the hell it's for. You know, because after the first husband, the first child's father, the wife of that child said, oh, a second baby by this hooker? What the hell do you? She need to divorce her husband. Then she's demanding a DNA test. And it's a good thing she did, because he would have been supporting that second child for 18 years and it's not even him. Who sung that song about 18 years? And wasn't that Kanye? Paying for a child for 18 years and it's not even yours? She's a gold digger? No, honey child.
Honey,
mine today?
When I'm in need.
Yes, sing it, brother.
The gold digger. Friend indeed. That was Kanye West and what's his name? Django. It was, who played Django? The D is silent.
In that movie? Oh man.
Yeah.
Hold on.
The actor.
Yeah. Django Unchained. Hold on. Was it?
Wow.
Jamie
I see my
Foxx?
face like 3 times.
Jamie Foxx.
Friend indeed.
It was Jamie that sang that song?
I see myself like 3 times. Wow. Like,
why was I thinking that was Kanye's song? But he did a
it is Kanye West. It is Kanye West.
Oh, okay. He did a collab.
However, the melody is I forgot the actor's name. He played Django. The D is silent.
Jamie Foxx.
Who's that actor's name? Jamie Foxx. So it was Kanye West and Jamie Foxx.
Okay.
How you doing? Good morning.
Good morning. Yes. Gold
so
digger.
let's talk. You were talking about Jamaica. I got my Jamaican mug right here.
All right, representing.
Yeah. People like saying, I not know Jamaican. I was like, yo, when Christopher Columbus came here, there was nothing but turtles and crocodiles, which are now extinct. There's no such thing as a Caymanian.
Yeah, I hear you. What's on your
you
mind?
Blend with something.
What got you?
You blend with something. We blend it down here. We make them beautiful babies.
What is on your mind today?
What is on your mind? Let's talk. Listen, it's your show.
I'm talking about it.
Okay, you were betting up that poor woman on Memorial Day. She probably even woke up yet.
Well, they want to be living this social media fab lifestyle where they.
I know, but like, come on, you could talk that a little bit.
It's the cold hard truth for a reason. Come on now.
You don't have to batter up. You don't have to batter up like that.
But you know what? I'm actually being very gentle. Would you believe that? I'm actually being very gentle because there's so much more that I could say that I'm not going to say. I'm just saying. Andrew, what you got planned for today?
Well, it's your show. You had some topics. I know about Jamaica. I know about military. I know what's going on in Haiti. I know. Okay, well, let's go. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I'm going to be moving on to talk about this court case last week. So I need to do a little synopsis on that. So I'm going to pull you back in the studio. Just sit back and listen for a minute, have your coffee, and then we can certainly get your opinions on it afterwards. All right?
It's tea. It's not coffee. It's tea.
Oh, you're drinking tea. Yes, because this is where we give you all the tea. We'll be spilling it left, right, and center.
Yeah, we're spilling the tea.
All right, Andrew, hang in. All right, so listen. The week before and last week, I was in court watching this trial with, her name is Casmi Cupid. Now, you guys will remember that she is being accused of being the mastermind behind the Tortuga robbery in Grand Harbor. So she actually worked for, let me just show you the screens here. She actually worked for Tortuga at the time of the robbery. And here we are. So not long after the robbery, she was arrested. This was March of 2020. Now, she'd been on our radar before for other reasons, and it had nothing to do with the Tortuga situation. In fact, we didn't even know that she worked because she lives such a ghetto fabulous lifestyle where she is constantly, dressing up and going out and living this lifestyle that's like, that could be a show of its own, right? So anyway, on March 20th, we got this story with the full video and everything, that she was arrested. There's the picture of her at work. And she had been featured in the show prior to that. She actually came on the show because she's of the opinion that she can live a fabulous lifestyle. As you can see here, she's always dressed up, always got weave and going out and whatever. And she lives this fabulous lifestyle, which she says she's entitled to live. That's her business. And it's nobody else's business, nobody else's concern. And her Caymanian husband and children must be taken care of by the Cayman's government. In case y'all missed that show, you can go back and watch it. These are her words, not mine. So her opinion is she can go out and spend all the money that she makes, however she makes it. And the people of the Cayman Islands must support her children, not her. Because they are quote unquote Caymanian. Because she found some Caymanian fool to get married to, right? Now he is a special kind of fool, chat. But anyway. So, that's her whole take on life. And, I don't have people, listen, in theory, I don't have an issue with people living their best possible lives. And if this is your definition of living your best possible life, then whatever. I don't really care. Where I start to get a little bit concerned, though, is when children are involved. Because you see, to me, this isn't just about you. Children grow up to be teenagers and eventually adults if they're lucky. And they will have an impact on the rest of us as a society. So you might think to yourself, I can do whatever I want to my children. And that is 50% true, up to a certain point. You can't abuse your children. You can't neglect your children. And I think that even when you're a shitty parent and you're raising children that we can see the direction that they're going to be heading, all of us should be concerned. And you know why we should be concerned? Because those are the kids that we as a society will have to try and put in reform school. Those are the kids, in the majority of cases, that are going to be filling up Fairbanks and Northward, and they're going to be a menace to society. This is how it works, right? So when you don't do your job with your children because you're so busy out there partying every weekend, that's a concern. That's a concern for the health and well-being of your kids even. You can find money to live this fabulous lifestyle, but can't find money to take care of your children. You're always getting evicted from every single place you go to rent because you can't pay rent, this, that, but you're looking fabulous. Anyway, she's accused in this Tortuga robbery, right? The last trial got started. You guys remember that was stopped because she ran and said, oh, the jury is going to be impacted by what they're hearing on CMR. So I want to be very, very clear. The case is over. So that's why I'm talking about this. And secondly, it is a judge alone case. So there is no jury for her to run back and try to make the argument that the jury is going to be swayed by anything. The judge will not be swayed by anything except the facts put before her. It was a female judge from Jamaica, by the way. So she was accused in the Tortuga robbery back in March of 2020. Now, I want to bring this full circle, folks, because when she got arrested and we did the story, I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but she actually went on her Facebook page and she posted that she had not been arrested in connection to any robbery. It was for an unpaid traffic ticket. Now, obviously, she thinks we all stupid. And from then I knew, why would you lie? If listen, I'm not above reproach, but one thing for sure, y'all can bet your bottom dollar. Whenever I've been arrested, I'm the first one to let y'all know on social media. As I'm in handcuffs, I'm like, I'm arrested right now. Here's what's going down, blah, blah, blah. And if you get arrested for A, why would you lie about it? Like, I've never understood. Why would you lie about getting arrested for a particular thing? It just didn't make any sense. It was a very bizarre situation. So she says, she does all kind of stuff that's kind of funny. Like she says, oh, there are people dying over the world from something way more important than me, right? Which is a deadly virus. Come on, people, I can't be that important. Somebody else said, well, stop changing the subject and addressing rumors to clear up your good name. Your good name, goody, right? So she went on and on and on and on and on about how she was arrested for a traffic ticket. Now, y'all know people try to insult you when they come to you with certain lies, because you would have to explain to me, how on earth could you get arrested? This post actually had 200 comments on it, and a lot of them were from her, claiming that she had been arrested for a traffic ticket, an unpaid traffic ticket. As a matter of fact, let me show y'all the proof, because you must be sitting there thinking, Sandy can't be knowing what she's talking about right now, because this don't make no sense. See what this person says here? Sophia says, innocent until proven guilty. She says, I hate traffic tickets. This is her, Eve Highvoltage. She says, I hate traffic tickets and warrants, sigh. So this was the narrative, folks, that she was trying to put out there, that she had been arrested for a traffic ticket. Now, you tell me, in what world do you get arrested with what is it? What's that unit called? CE? Is it CED? What's the detective unit called again? Anyway, you know, the big time so-called detectives of the RCAPS. How on earth they can send all 3-4 people to come and arrest you at your place of work for a traffic ticket? That must have been the world's biggest traffic ticket. Nobody gets arrested for a traffic ticket. See what this person, they're like, yeah, boy. Seriously, a traffic ticket. Like, really? Girl, you don't get arrested for no traffic ticket. And you certainly wouldn't get, they would serve you a warrant to say, okay, you got to show up to court, CID. Thank you, Evelyn. But you don't get arrested like that for no traffic ticket. So from the word go, she'd been lying. So then after that, Mr. Hamity said, he saw the lies. I guess he heard about it. May he rest in peace. He then issued a statement to say that, yes, she was actually arrested for this robbery that took place in Governor's Square. Yes, Governor's Square. So when Mr. Hamity released a statement, he said that he was disappointed. He actually sent out an email to all staff. He said that he was disappointed. As a matter of fact, here we go. This is the email that the man sent out. He says the robbery at Governor's Square Tortuga store and injury to staff members was organized by this person. This person, Kaznique Patrice Austin Cupid. So he says that it was organized by her. I mean, obviously she'd not been proven guilty as yet, but he believes this. He talked about their security camera being one of the most advanced, their zero policy, how he wants every single person who does this sort of thing to rub some time in jail. This was what he was saying. So this is where it's at. So he issues this statement. And then what does she do is she turns around and then says, this was make-believe. He never issued this statement. This didn't come from him. That I believe she said that we might have made this up and sent this out. And I'm like, wait a second. How on earth is it possible that we can write a internal email from Mr. Hamity and actually send it out to his employees like that? The lies don't even make any sense. It's just so bizarre. Then she put up this proof of, here's a traffic ticket. And then her little friends who believe everything she says, it's like, oh, you guys sound bitter towards her. Okay. Someone points out the discrepancy in the date on the traffic ticket because she never expects you to look at any of the details. All right. So fast forward to where we are now, folks. And 2 trials later, the first one got started, that got vacated. Now we have the judge who has the trial. Decision will come in January of next year. So in this case, I'm going to explain a little bit of what was transpiring because the prosecution laid out a case. She was a getaway driver. She was the mastermind behind the whole thing. And in fact, here's the most interesting thing about this, is she actually denied on the night of the event ever going anywhere. So the police, they interviewed her not once, but twice. And they gave her the opportunity to answer questions. So a lot of the questions she wouldn't answer. And then there are times when she couldn't help herself. She would answer, but the prosecution alleges that these answers were untruthful because now when she's in court, the story has completely changed to what she said to the police. So for example, on the night in question, she starts out saying, why would I remember anything about that night? It was of no significance to me. So she finds, that doesn't matter to me. I don't know anything about it, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So when they start showing her what they have, CCTV footage and still pictures of you at Foster's. She told them, oh, this is what I do every Friday. I stay home every Friday with my family. Me, my kids, and my husband stay home every Friday. Now, have y'all ever looked at this girl's social media page? She's known for the opposite. She's known for never staying home on a Friday. She's known for going out Friday, Saturday, boat cruise on Sunday. And if she doesn't have a job, probably on a Monday too. So that was the first very, very interesting discrepancy. Oh, I'm home every Friday. That's my MO. And this night doesn't stand out in my mind. Okay. When the police start to show her the stuff, then all of a sudden she has an epiphany when she sees baby wipes. Now, let me be very clear. They showed her pictures of herself, right? They showed her pictures of the vehicle. None of those things triggered her memory, but what she said on the stand is that her memory was triggered by seeing the baby wipes. Why the baby wipes would trigger your memory and not a picture of yourself? Only God knows. Not a picture of your vehicle? Only God knows. So then she bought these gloves, which the prosecution says the 2 pair of gloves are for the 2 robbers. She says that no, she uses gloves for all sorts of things. Now, this is a very interesting response that she gave in court. She says that she bleaches her skin, so she uses gloves for that. She says that she's into gardening, so she uses gloves for that. She cooks, so she uses gloves for that. She went through a long list of things that she could potentially use gloves for. But you see, when they say that the devil's in the details, that wasn't really the question, you know. The question is, on that night, the night you claimed that you were home with your family, but turns out you weren't, you were at Foster's buying wipes and other stuff. So she went in with her husband's NAU card, purchased baby wipes and diapers and whatever else, right? And there's certain things that you can't purchase on an NAU card. So then she went back and went to another register to purchase the gloves and other items separately. So then the question becomes, if you purchase gloves that night, what was the purchase of the gloves for? So she gives this long list of stuff. And the prosecution, the judge are going, so were you bleaching that night? Were you gardening that night? Oh, were you working out? Because she claims she works out. She's a big gym rat and lifts weights and all that kind of stuff. And so she needs the gloves for that as well. It was like, come on. Now, everybody with a little bit of common sense know that you don't use the same gloves that you use to bleach your skin, garden, lift weights, and that sort of thing. And in fact, I thought the prosecution could have made a little bit more of this point, but they didn't. The type of gloves that they appeared to be, they were black gloves and like that kind of cloth material. That's not the kind of gloves that you would use if you bleach your skin, which I don't know what's involved in skin bleaching. But I'm guessing you just don't put it on with your hand, according to her. But that's not the kind of gloves that you would use. You would use like either the plastic gloves or the latex gloves to apply anything to your face. You would not be using gloves that are like thick gloves that you would use for gardening and that sort of thing. And they're also not weightlifting gloves, but she had one long list of stuff. All right, whatever. Then she claims that what did she say after that? That she didn't, there's some other thing that she said. Oh, yeah. Then she had first told police, okay. I went to Foster's. Yes, the baby wipes reminded me, and then I went straight home. So when they start showing her that they actually have footage of the car passing the Kimpton, and it took this route, and this camera picks it up here, picked up part of the license plate, then it was like, okay. So she had to fabricate and make up this narrative in this story that when she was interviewed by police, she didn't have the story. So no comment. She even accused the police of trying to trap her. Oh, you guys think you're so smart. Well, I'm a very intelligent person. Remember what I said earlier about this Dunning-Kruger syndrome that people suffer from? She suffers from it. They're so incompetent that they can't recognize their own stupidity. So she's sitting there telling the police that she is so intelligent and she's so smart that they're not going to trip her up. She says, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to trick me. Well, it's not going to work because I'm a very intelligent person. I'm a very industrious person. Oh, God. Apparently, she was singing her own praises to a high degree during the police interview, but not answering the relevant questions. At first, she claimed that she went home. First, she wasn't anywhere but home. Then when she saw the footage in Foster's, then by the second interview, it was like, oh, yeah, okay, that night isn't significant anyway, but I did go to the grocery store. but I went right home afterwards. Okay, so if you went home, your home was this way in West Bay, why would you have been seen passing the Kimpton? So by the time she took the stand, an entire story had been fabricated, is what the prosecution is alleging, to explain her movements on that night. Cell phone towers picking up her location and so on. And the prosecution made a very interesting point. So the police interviewed you literally days after, what would be the equivalent of days after, not once, but twice, this incident. A lot of the questions you claim you have no memory of, you can't remember, you didn't know, And yet, a year and 18 months later, or whatever amount of time has now passed, 18 months later, a year and a half, whatever. You're sitting here giving detailed information down to the fact that there was a beach party. That explains why you're in the vicinity of the Kimpton. She can't remember where in the beach she went, but there was a beach party in that vicinity, and you could say what was on the menu because you cooked for the menu. You cooked for the party. So you could lay out all the entire menu because, oh, by the way, she's a professional chef as well. Very talented. And, as soon as you got to the venue, this is her story, this guy named, whatever the heck his name is, Williams, borrowed her car. And so she never had her car. So now she's not going to deny, she can't deny because of CCTV footage, that the car was not involved in an incident. But what she can say is she wasn't the driver. You see how the story goes? Because somebody else borrowed her car. This guy that she barely even knows walks up to her as she arrives at the party, and she hands him the keys and said, okay, go and run errands. And he never brought her car back. Someone says the screen is frozen again. Let me see if I can see what's going on here on Facebook. So, I don't know what's going on today. Is it frozen for everybody? Maybe Facebook is having issues today. All right, give me 1 second. Let me refresh because I do see the quality is actually pretty poor as well. So just give me 1 second. I'm going to refresh the screen. All right, hopefully that is going to be better. So here eating my oatmeal. Yeah, I think the quality is a little bit better now as well. Okay. Yeah, something going on with the internet today, chow. I guess because everybody's home using the internet. Nobody's really at work. You might be taxing the system a little bit. So anyway, so she tells police that she loans her vehicle to this guy that she barely even knows. And he has it the entire night that the robbery takes place, indirectly insinuating that, well, if a robbery took place, then it must be him that did it because she don't know what happened to the car afterwards. Now, here's the interesting thing. I kind of wondered about this because there were two men who went in and robbed the store, and they only have one co-accused charged. So I said, well, where's the other guy? This is a logical question. So my police sources have said that, in fact, the Williams guy that she's claiming borrowed her car, he was picked up for overstaying in Cayman. And he was extradited back home. That's not the word I'm looking for, but you know what I mean. He was sent back home. And it was afterwards, after he was deported, that's the word I'm looking for, then that they then recognized his potential role in this whole thing because he was the Williams guy. And they think that he's actually robber number 2, but he got away from them. So he already had left the jurisdiction. So robber number 2 that she was throwing under the bus saying, oh yeah, I loaned my car to this Williams guy, and he was out and about doing God knows what. Now, during the course of the evening, she made a number of phone calls, including one to her co-accused. Her co-accused is a Jamaican guy that she claims that she doesn't even know. During her police interview, she said she doesn't know him. She knows his father. And this became a central point of the case. Because why would you deny knowing someone that you know? So throughout the trial and her testimony, right, prosecution went at her 2 days in a row. She kind of revised this story to a very interesting description. So what she said was she knows of him, but she don't know him. And so the prosecution and the judge had to come around this a couple times. Like, what does that mean? So eventually she described that to know someone, because remember now this is someone who she claimed when asked by the police that she didn't know. Now she's revising the story that she knows of him but don't know him, because apparently he is a junior and his father, the senior, is a seamstress, a tailor, who she claims that she does know and makes all of her and her husband's suits. So here is a woman who, by her own admittance, lives hand to hand, paycheck to paycheck. But yet on the stand, she said that her and her husband like tailored and fitted suits when they go out, because they always got to look so professional and so good. It's like they believe they're wearing couture outfits, right? So they need tailored and fitted suits. So they have their own tailor that custom designs suits for them. And that's how they know the father, who's the senior. She then claims that the first time she ever met the junior was when he accidentally ran into her, a random car accident in the street. And then she heard that his name was, what was his name again? Oh God, I can't remember his name now. Whatever. Oh, Richard Nash Jr. So the whole entire story was very, very confusing, to say the least. And the prosecution, I think, did a fairly good job. I mean, obviously, we will certainly know, what the details or what the judge concludes at the end of the day. But there was a lot of things that just didn't make any sense. And one of the interesting things about the case is that when she was testifying, I thought this was very, very peculiar. And a question would be asked of her. She would do something like this. So she would close her eyes and she would start like mouthing what she wanted to say. And I wasn't quite sure what that was about. Like she'd do this. Like literally like that, as though in her head, she was trying to work out what the appropriate response was going to be. And it was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen a witness do, to be honest. And I think maybe the storylines were getting so confused in her own head that she was like trying to remember what she wanted to say and how to work it out. And for me, when you're telling the truth, you never have to work out the truth. I mean, the truth is what it is, right? So, she claimed she didn't know the guy. Then she said, oh no, well, I know of him, but I don't know him. Like, I don't know his childhood. I don't know him really well. Like, I don't know a whole lot about it. It was just like all over the place. And then he also claimed that he didn't know her, but yet there were messages between the two, social media messages. There was phone calls. Then she claims that, oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was trying to help him find a job. So, he went by different aliases, and she claimed that she didn't know any of those aliases. And then there was some confusion, like, oh yeah, he goes by Short Boss, he goes by this, he goes by that. Like the story was just all over the place. I mean, at times it was very, very confusing to keep it straight, like where it was going. So the defense was very short and sweet. Her co-accused did not take the stand at all. And her defense lasted maybe 15, 20 minutes at that. And he was just like, oh, you've got to prove it to this standard. And can this information be trusted? And it was like, January 28th, the judge will make a decision, and we will certainly advise you guys of the verdict at that time. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what has transpired over the weekend. Andrew, you still want to come on? Andrew, what's up? Andrew,
am I on?
Hand. You're gonna play the
I
guitar?
was drawing pictures. You had me drawing. All right, so I know several tragedies that happened with Blackbeards. So Grand Harbor, when that got stuck up, that was me.
Grand Harbor. Okay, that was the one where they nabbed the guy and they said, "Not today, Bobo."
That guy.
Or was that another one?
That guy and I had the same name.
The guy who robbed Grand Harbor?
The getaway driver.
The getaway driver. Okay. You had the same name. Wow.
He took it. He took it. The same name. What is my name?
Andrew Tomlinson.
My name's Andrew.
Yes.
Yeah. So I grew up in Prospect. That was my mother's house. Road splits into a V. That was my mother's house. You go on the left, you go straight down, you go straight. That was Andrew's house. That was Andrew Lopez's house. We used to wrestle in his yard, in Chris Kahn's house, all the time. I used to fight with Honor. He used to bend my fingers back. It's unfortunate that he did what he did, but I think that when he comes out, he'll be a better man for it. I grew up with those kids. I left I was in 3rd grade in primary school. Miss Smith was my teacher. She had one little piece of hula hoop. She called it Dr. Pepper. I left this summer. So 9/11 happened in 2001. So it must have been the summer of 2002. I left to America.
All right, bring the story back full circle now. What does this have to do with the current Tortuga case?
Well, I'll tell you all the tragedies of the Tortuga cases. So the same Tortuga, 7 Mile Shops. There's a guy who worked there. I used to work at Cayman Segway, so I was familiar with him.
Yeah, this isn't 7 Mile Shops, though. This is the Governor's Harbor location.
I know. I'm telling you all of the tragedies that happened at Blackbeards, the people who got hurt, the people who got killed, the mother who's in a very bad place right now because the father of her children was killed by a drunk driver. He did a case. Remember that case where he wanted to do his dreadlocks and he people can have dreadlocks now.
Yes. What does that have to do with Tortuga?
The guy who killed him worked at Tortuga. I knew the guy because I worked at 7 Mile Shops. The guy who killed him.
He was in the, okay.
His children no longer have a father. The mother is in a very bad place.
Okay.
It's unfortunate.
All right.
What else you want to talk about?
I'm gonna move on now to talk about the weekend events, but I'm gonna pull you back out here. John is shrugging his shoulders. Cece is having a good laugh. So let me go ahead and pull you back out. So let's talk about what transpired over the weekend. John says he's confused. So here's the thing about the weekend. We had a what is being classified as a COVID-related death on yesterday morning. We woke up to the news that an elderly man had passed away. Now, he's an American gentleman. There was a little bit of confusion yesterday about who died because there was multiple people who had actually died yesterday. Like literally, we had, who was it now? This elderly man who used to work for Foster's, I understand, American guy. We had Boosie Solomon from Georgetown. We had, and his name is Mark, the guy who died. We had Mr. Paul former RCIPS officer. And then later in the day, we actually had Mr. Ronnie Dixon, who also passed away. So literally yesterday, we had like 4 people that died in the space of, I guess, a 24-hour period. So there were people who were extremely confused about who had died and who was a COVID-related death. And they were a little bit all over the place with that one. And so, we had put up a post to say, listen, it's the American guy, which a lot of you probably wouldn't even know. His picture, is now being circulated. And the authorities have not confirmed that it's him, but, we know that it's him. And he has passed away. Let's take a quick commercial break and do a big shout out to the Reopen Cayman campaign. They said that they're ready, and they're asking you if you're ready to reopen.
I'm ready to reopen Cayman because it's time that our friends, family, and tourists are able to come once again and visit our beautiful island.
When we open up the borders, travel is going to be freer and we're going to be able to travel between countries better.
I'm ready to reopen to be reunited with my loved ones living abroad.
I'm ready to reopen.
All right, folks. So if you are ready to reopen, they're asking you to go on the website and take a pledge to say that you're ready to reopen. So they've classified this as a COVID-related death. And there's different types of classifications. I think a lot of people are like really making a bigger deal out of this than it really needs to be. If a person dies and they have COVID, they're going to call it a COVID-related death. And these are worldwide standards. Like, I don't know why people are acting as though the premier made this up. He made up this definition. Or why, because he doesn't decide whether it's a COVID-related death or not. He's taken that from public health. And they are using a standard set by the World Health Organization. But I saw a lot of comments on social media, and I saw people all over the place claiming that this is what was their take on it? That this is a misrepresentation of what actually happened, and why are they classifying it as such? You know what is really bizarre is if he was vaccinated, because he was unvaccinated, right? If he was vaccinated, this wouldn't be the issue at all. So the same people who are making the comments are the same people who are calling themselves pro-choice or anti-vaxxers or whatever they want to call themselves. And I know for a fact that had he been vaccinated, the narrative would have been like, oh, you see, somebody who's been vaccinated has died. And they were COVID positive. So what's the issue with the classification? It's just that you're upset because he's unvaccinated, and that does not bode well with your viewpoint of the world, your cognitive bias, which is you're trying to convince yourself that vaccinated people have the exact same chance as other people to catch the virus, which statistically isn't correct. So therefore, you want the definition of how mortality is defined with someone having coronavirus. Listen, the man was seriously ill, and he has been ill for a while, and he had sepsis, right? And all of these things would have no doubt contributed to his death, probably more than the coronavirus. Maybe the coronavirus accelerated it by a smidgen, probably not that much. But the definition of how, just like, how do you define travel-related cases? There's a specific definition for that. There are definitions for how to define different things as it relates to this pandemic. So if you go to the World Health Organization's website, there are international guidelines for certification and classification, coding of COVID-19 as a cause of death. And I would invite all of you to go and read this actual document. It was produced in April of 2020, the International Statistical Classification of Diseases. There's such a thing. And it talks about how to define deaths due to COVID-19, guidelines for certifying COVID-19 as a cause of death, how you put it on the death certificate, the terminology that is used. They even have an entire section for chain of events. So let me share this with you guys. Again, it's important to have this little bit of knowledge because this is important. So here on the International Form of Medical Certificate of Cause of Death is an example of how to certify this chain of events for deaths due to COVID-19 in part 1. So medical data, part 1 and 2, cause of death. So as we see here, this person, I don't know how much of this you guys can see. Cause of death, number 1, acute respiratory distress syndrome, time interval from onset to death, 2 days. That's probably what killed the person. Due to pneumonia, 10 days. Due to COVID-19, 14 days. So this person had tested positive for 14 days prior. And you see what it says here. They give you a little description. This is the underlying cause of death, COVID-19. Because the COVID-19 in this case caused the pneumonia and caused the acute respiratory distress syndrome. Then they talk about comorbidities and how to record that, what that is, and how that's defined. Coronary heart disease, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, diabetes or disabilities, chronic conditions. They even tell you here, suspected COVID-19. And so there are different classifications. And I'm hoping that I've asked Kevin to please reach out to some of his experts to help break this down for us, because there seems to be a great fixation on this since the announcement was made. The gentleman, despite his age and his sepsis and other health-related issues, was COVID-19 positive. Will an autopsy be done to show how much of a contributing factor COVID-19 may have been in his cause of death? We will certainly find out. I'm going to share this link with you guys. Feel free to read up on the classification. Again, I don't know why people are trying to make this into something that it isn't. Well, I do know, because unfortunately, this is one of the things that the anti-vaxxers have always jumped on, that, oh, not that many people have died from COVID. And the numbers that they have put out there are an exaggeration. When in truth, everyone has accepted that the numbers are actually an underrepresentation of how many people have actually died from COVID. Because last year in particular, during the height of the pandemic, people were dying left, right, and center. And half the time they weren't even testing them. They were just like, okay, this person's dead. Another old person died in the nursing home. We're not going to test them, just they're old and they died. So estimates are anywhere from 5 to 10% the infection rate, and probably just as many, maybe a smidgen less, have died from COVID. And my question is, how does it make you feel any better if we classify it, although he was COVID positive, as a non-COVID death or not? How does that change where we're at this moment? What's happening in the community right now with community transmission, people being highly irresponsible with that? How does that change any of that? It's just such a bizarre situation. So our condolences obviously go out to his family. And, I understand that his daughter actually came on island, and my sources have said that she contracted it from him as well. So hopefully she's on the mends. There's quite a bit of information out there, folks, if you really want to understand how the classification works. There is the, let me see if I can get this for you, the BMJ, which talks about, this is in February of this year. There's an article here that talks about the Office for National Statistics and the total number of COVID-19 recorded on death certificates in England and Wales, and how that number's come about. They've given you some information. What are some of the clinical syndromes, syndromes and symptoms that they're actually looking for, and how that classification is actually brought about as well. So here's, when people say that, well, COVID is no worse than any other flu or cold or whatever. Here's a bit of information from the Office of National Statistics in the UK. Reported that in January 2021, that England and Wales had seen the highest increase in excess mortality in 2020 in any year since 1940. So for those of you who still buy in to the fact that, oh, this is just any other influenza, it's not a big deal, you really need to delve into some facts and try to sort that out. So I'll share this link for you as well, so that you can have a look at that and review that also. Now, the interesting thing is, even if you've survived COVID, remember, death may not be the worst. Sometimes maybe death is an easy thing in terms of the long haul COVID and what will happen as a result of that to your life. Scientific American has also done an article on how COVID-19 deaths are counted. And that it also summarizes that data on excess deaths suggests that the coronavirus death tolls are likely an underestimate. So I will share that article as well for your reading pleasure. Good morning, Ms. Ravina. How are you? Rachel says, rest in peace, this gentleman. Sadly, if you already suffer from underlying conditions, catching the COVID virus can seriously worsen your health in many cases. And that's why those with underlying conditions who are elderly were offered the vaccine and booster first. COVID doesn't just cause breathing problems, but unseen inflammation and clots throughout the body, which is very bad news if you're already sick. Condolences to the family. And in fact, one of the initial markers that physicians were dealing with something else in December and January of 2020, before they really became aware of what was going on with the coronavirus, is they said that they kept seeing people's lungs with, in such a bad state that they've never seen anything like that before. And that's when emergency room physicians began to realize that they were dealing with something very, very different on their hands. And there was a report that I read sometime, I think it was early this year or possibly last year, about how emergency physicians kept reporting to the CDC. There's something strange going on here. People are coming in. We're thinking it's a flu. We're thinking it's just a regular flu. But there's something with the respiratory part of this that is different. And it's nothing like we've ever seen before. Look at the lung of this. This is a healthy, otherwise healthy. Well, I think they were trying to confirm it. She may have had a bit of an underlying condition, but this is a 20-year-old. We posted this article last week in case you missed it. And they had to do an entire lung transplant on this particular COVID victim, who's only 20, because look at how the disease has ravaged her lungs. So this was a MedCase article. COVID lung. In her 20s, she contracted COVID in its most severe form. And it says that it basically obliterated her lungs, requiring ECMO. And her chance of survival, the only thing they could do was a double lung transplant, which they did at Northwestern Hospital. Now they do, there was this story about her being on immunosuppressive drugs was an evolving story. So the lung on the right is the one that was removed. They say the whole thing is inflamed, scarred, and just yucky. Nothing like the one on the left, which is a soft, smooth, and able to aerate like a balloon. So this is what COVID is doing to people's lungs. Surgeon Dr. Ankit Bharat says this was the sickest patient whom he'd ever given a lung transplant to. He said because of the inflammation, this is the inflammation that Rachel's talking about, the lungs were completely plastered to the tissue around them, the heart and chest wall and diaphragm. And so far, this is the first case of irreversible COVID damage that was salvaged by a lung transplant. And of course, she was eligible because of her young age and healthy status. Otherwise, it was worth the effort. And of course, you know, transplants are not always successful because the body tends to reject what isn't its own. They have said that this probably isn't an option for most patients, but perhaps it could save a few healthy young individuals who were at the right place, who would otherwise die if no options remained. The lesson here is if you still think that COVID is just like the flu, it isn't. John, there was no indications at all that she was a smoker. No. This lung, go to MedLab and read the actual origin of this med case. But this is a situation of where this damage that you see here was caused just by the coronavirus and nothing else. These are when I say that, you know, we have lived in a little bit of a bubble. This is why I say that, because again, we're not seeing any of this. So that's why when Kevin does a fantastic job of bringing all the health experts on here, all the physicians on here, and they tell us in their own words and their own experiences what they're witnessing every single day. And yet we sit down with this Dunning-Kruger syndrome and still want to pretend like we know what's really happening in the world and put all this, you know, incredible narrative out there, when in all honesty, we just don't have a clue. To me, it is just, it's amazing. You know, doctors spend a lot of time writing reports. There's x-rays of her lung showing the severe damage. And, you know, these things are written up in medical journals. They're often peer reviewed. She's in her late 20s, lives and works in Chicago, had recently moved there from North Carolina. She's Hispanic, an ethnic group that has been hit hard by the virus in the US. She was healthy before she contracted the coronavirus. So she had a minor illness that required her to take a medication that suppressed her immune system somewhat, but it was not clear whether the drug made her especially vulnerable to the virus. So she was ill for about 2 weeks before being admitted to the hospital on April the 26th. She soon needed ventilation. Now, Soka was mentioning earlier that she found it interesting. I saw her comment on a news story that she found it interesting that people keep asking, well, how many ventilators do we have available? And she said, you do realize that ventilation doesn't cure you, right? But normally when you get to that stage, it's a little bit too late. And I think that's another point of reality, Soka. I'm glad that you said it. That's another point of reality that people need to recognize, is that by the time you get to saying, oh yeah, ventilate me, it's going to be a little bit too late. Now, in terms of the situation here in Cayman, we do understand that there was another patient who we're hearing through the grapevine has been ventilated. The government has not officially said anything in regards to this. We might get an update today, but that they were refusing treatment. So they're COVID positive, anti-vaxxer. They were on all sorts of pages, cussing people out, threatening people in their little groups and whatever, who support vaccine. So now they have tested COVID positive and they are in the hospital. They're refusing treatment but telling the doctor that the one treatment that they wanted was ivermectin. So let me just say this. I'm going to leave this here with you. You can go to a physician. So you go to a physician, the doctor says, okay, you have cancer, and these are the available treatments. A mastectomy, chemo, radiation, whatever. You can say, you know what? I don't want any of those treatments. But you don't get to dictate what treatment you get, especially if it's not something that has been approved for that case use. So in other words, I go to the doctor and I have a cold. I can't tell him to give me radiation treatment for cold. He's not going to do that. I don't even think legally that could be permitted. So despite what people think about these fringe treatments, if they're not approved for use for that, so ivermectin is approved for animals. So someone said to me, well, does she want to go to the Department of Agriculture and be treated there with ivermectin? Like, what was it that she was requesting? And that might sound a little bit funny, but that's what it's approved for in this jurisdiction. Now, there's certain use cases for it for people who get what's it called? What's the word I'm looking for? Is it, hold on, I'll tell you what it is. Parasites, right? Parasitic infections. So there is an approved use for that in certain things. So head lice, scabies, river blindness, and other words that I cannot even begin to pronounce. It's used to prevent heartworm in animals. Outside of that, if it's not been approved, so for example, the FDA has approved it for certain things. If it's not approved for that, you can't tell your doctor that, oh, just give me ivermectin because that's what I want. It's just, again, going back to the whole point of this Dunning-Kruger syndrome. People who have no training in medicine whatsoever read a little article or they hear Donald Trump say, oh yeah, use ivermectin, drink bleach, whatever, and they think that, oh, this is gospel, and I can go to a real doctor who cares about the life of his patients and request these sorts of medications that are not proven to be effective. And not only are they not proven to be effective for what you're asking for it to be for, but there's adverse effects. So you want your doctor to kill you for what? With ivermectin? It's just crazy. I can't even believe that people would think that they can go to a physician and be making such a request. Anyway, folks, that's all I've got for you today. Happy Holiday Monday. It is Remembrance Day. Take a few moments to recognize the wonderful veterans in our lives and the sacrifices that they would have made to keep us safe all around the world. I hope that you guys have a beautiful day. Again, big shout out to our sponsors. We'll play a couple sponsored videos now, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 7:30.
Beginning the 10th of October, residents across the Cayman Islands will be invited to participate in the 2021 census. What is the census? Simply put, the census is a head count of every person living in the Cayman Islands. The population count and data are protected and authorized by the Statistics Act. The information is confidential and cannot be shared with any law enforcement agencies. Your response helps guide business, social, and economic planning for the future of our islands. The 2021 census will inform decisions on how millions of dollars are allocated for roads, schools, hospitals and healthcare clinics, fire, emergency response services, and other programs. Census enumerators will visit your household, ask a few questions like how many people live in your house, including their age and sex. Every person counts, no matter who you are or where you live. So have your say in the 2021 census.
Ho Ho, ho, ho! It's that time of year again. Christmas is right around the corner, and you do not want to delay. Because of COVID-19, there are numerous logistics delays expected. Give yourself the gift of a true Christmas miracle by planning ahead with Miracle Brokers. Whether you're moving halfway around the world or ordering a new car for your loved one, contact Miracle today at 949-5989. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of The Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.